Last we left off, our dear party made their way into a forest that was in a direction, we'll say, since you guys don't have your bearings down here very well yet. In a direction from the confluence of Lyria, the Twin Rivers, and a bog. You pushed into a more cold, snowy forest area and found a longhouse that you spent an evening in. After some strange visions and moments of conflict with our dear Lara, you all had a minor conflict and a few people get close to some bad things. Everyone managed to survive, and on come the next morning, you all pushed into a mine. Going deeper within, you had encountered a deep pixie that seemed to disappear after being noticed. And then you pushed into an opening deeper within the mine, several hours deeper, and found a tower that seemed to rise through several layers of this interior space deep underground. I believe we left off with all of you standing at a ledge before dropping down into said space with the bottom of this tower.
Best idea ever.
Mm-hmm. Let me snag my initiative counters real quick.
Oh, really? We're in combat right now?
No, I'm just...
Or are you just snatching?
I need them, yeah.
Okay, sure.
It's a necessity.
Wait, did he set initiative counter?
He said
Okay,
initiative.
guys, let's go back.
You hear the caw from far away.
Okay, there we go. So in front of you all lies a large tower, semi-fractured, broken, and leaning slightly to one side. It pierces a large hole, kind of giving the appearance of like the crown shyness and a canopy of trees. The hole itself is slightly wider than the actual tip of this tower that pokes through. It leans precariously, touching one edge of that larger hole, and some light does shine down through. The forested area you were in before has a fairly high quantity of bioluminescence that tends to lend itself to seeing a little more clearly than true underground spaces like this. Can I have perception from each of you as you take a long, hard look at this? If you feel that you would be so inclined as to pay attention in this moment.
I rolled a 10.
I mean,
Beautiful.
if there's any time to be paying attention, it's right fucking now.
Indeed.
17.
Ooh.
It's like an 8.
Okay. Mitra, you would be the only one to notice this out of the group. Everyone's taking hard looks, but mostly paying attention more to the tower. You notice down at the ground level, there are some 10, 20-foot walls that surround that tower space. It looks like a perimeter of some kind. And you can see that inside of it there is this, like, small, deep red storm that lies across the ground. It almost looks like fog, but it's moving with little flickers of lightning and things inside. And with a 17, you would even notice that within the tower space itself, you can see flashes of green and blue and purple. And you can even notice and hear something is moving within that space. Maybe traps going off or a fight happening within. It's unclear, but you do notice that.
Mitra's going to gently nudge the person closest to her to try and draw their attention to what it was that she observed.
Mm-hmm.
And will perhaps not relay it as detailed as the DM did, but was to try and steer their attention towards more weird ongoings in this weird place.
Okay.
I guess the question is who's closest to Mitra right now.
That's true.
I'd probably
Yeah, so that's the person she gently nudges, which is still a bit of a oof, the Tykin.
You would notice, after it being pointed out to you, that strange red storm that seems to cling at the bases of this tower. It doesn't rise very high up. It doesn't seem to go far beyond those 20-foot walls, but you can just see the head of it poking over at times. And you would notice the strange flashes within the tower itself. Point of brevity for the group of you. The construction of this tower is not akin to that of the Drow Kingdom that you've seen once before. The stones are more rough-hewn and squared. There is a severity to it, but it's a simplicity and strength rather than Gothic, per se, architecture. Definitely not one that any of you are too accustomed to, though it is vaguely akin to some of the human cities.
Does the storm seem to be emanating from like the tower out?
You can't really see too well in. The walls themselves lie pretty high for you guys. And you've got a maybe 5-foot drop off down into the actual cavern itself from where you're poking through from this mine. It seems like they broke through into this space, and this was actually a wall at one point. But it's not too far off, a few hundred feet, from you. So the tower's not super far away. It's just hard to actually see what's going on in because of the walls blocking your view.
Right.
So what now? What are we doing?
How much rope do you have?
I would assume a fair quantity. I think you guys picked up.
Yeah, how much rope? You have to get over a wall, right? You're down a wall or something.
Over, around, through somehow.
I have 1 hempen rope.
How many feet is that?
I think it's 50 feet.
Yes, I.
Okay. Anybody else have any rope?
Mitra raises the hand.
Sure, I've got a rope probably somewhere in there.
So probably about 150 feet with a rope between the three of them.
Well,
Easily
I don't know.
enough to get over.
Shinda's gonna put his bag on the ground, then kneel a bit. Then he's gonna look inside, throw a pan, a bedroll, a bunch of boxes, a tinder box, a bunch of torches. A bunch of a leather packet with a bunch of metal shit in it. What is this? A needle and thread, a large walk, and then yes, that's the rope. Okay.
There, rope.
Well, there went my plan, but I just realized something. We haven't rested any at all, have we?
No, you haven't.
You what?
You wanted to say something, Mitra?
I was literally just gonna fly over like a rope, but I already used it apparently. It's been so long, it's marked off, so I assume.
Yeah, you did use it the day before, I believe, to get vertical to look at the area around the longhouse.
Well, it would have been this. It'd have to been the same day.
Yeah, we did all of that in one session. It was messy.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
several sessions ago. So
Okay. Can I grab my special pittance and try to see if I can get a foothold on the wall?
Yeah, you go ahead and drop down that small 5-foot drop. Easily done. No need for a roll. You start pushing across, and the ground outside of the tower itself is completely raw. It is just a cavern floor with rough cracks, gray stone. You push through for a time. Is the rest of the group following along, or are you guys waiting to see what happens?
wait.
Yeah, sure. Follow.
I was gonna wait and watch her mark a path so I know where to go.
Okay. Mitra?
Mitra will split the group and stay with Tyken.
Alrighty. Cheyenne and Lara, you guys push in, and it doesn't take very long, maybe 2-3 minutes to get over there. You get up to the wall itself, and very clearly this is not a natural structure. It's been built. Could I have either athletics or acrobatics from you, Lara, as you go to set the pittance and get a climbing anchor set up for this short wall?
24?
Absolutely. With an always surprising dexterity, you begin springing up the wall, setting each piton, and then flinging yourself over to set the rope on the other side as well. getting down into the internal wall space, the storm itself doesn't push all the way to the walls. You now notice that this kind of semicircular wall wraps all the way around the tower itself. What used to be gates lie in a few directions off to your left and to your right, but the gates themselves seem to have been destroyed, or rather fused into solid stone. From the outside, they look to be large gate doors, but to the inside, they're flat, smooth stone. The storm itself roils this kind of deep red color with the occasional flicker of lightning that just stands pretty much marking and covering the entire floor here inside the tower space. You would probably have to walk through it to get to the tower itself. You're not seeing any openings or gaps in it in this moment. Mitra and Tyken, you both watch as two of your friends go to a wall. One of them climbs over. But the ground itself doesn't seem to be trapped or treacherous in any way getting there, so you know you're fine to walk over.
Head over the wall. Start my
Yeah.
climb.
Okay.
Yeah, Mitra will follow as Tyken does.
Cheyenne, are you also climbing the wall?
I'll try.
Okay. If I could have athletics or acrobatics from each of you. At advantage because Lara set a climbing.
Well, can I be annoying?
Yeah,
Permission to be annoying.
always for you.
Climbing is straight athletics. Acrobatics is for falling. Usually.
That's true. Let's do athletics then. A strong suit for most of you, I believe.
Oh,
Sure.
luckily, I got advantage. That's 24.
Hey, that's a 20.
Beautiful.
20 as
Tyken.
well.
Nice. You all climb over the wall without any trouble at all. Landing down on the other side, you meet up with Lara. And this space is... The storm isn't moving per se, it just gives the illusion of it kind of swirling around. You're noticing these small flecks inside the storm, these little almost circles, these orbs that kind of hang within, but unsure of what they are. You would all now be hearing the kind of popping and crackling noises of spells going off within inside this tower.
Spells. What do you mean by spells? Like,
Some form of magic. You can hear what sounds like lightning, what sounds
right,
like
but is
familiar.
Is it like people are actively casting magic in there, or is
You're
it
not
more
hearing
like constant?
anyone incanting. No, you're not hearing any magical language.
Right.
Just the sound of
Right.
something going on within.
Right. Okay. But
Is
it
it
feels like
forward?
something automatic that's just like continuously happening.
It doesn't have a rhythm or timing. You wouldn't think it's going off, over and over in the same timing. It's intermittent here or there, a little further away, a little closer. It seems like something is going on within, but you're not sure what from here.
I see.
Also, if I could have a wisdom saving throw from Tyken.
The chosen one.
15. For just a moment, you feel yourself pulled into the storm, but you shrug it off. Almost like this pulling feeling in your pit of your stomach. And then it goes away. So,
Shall we check it out?
No? Why are we here again?
Because we need to map out our surroundings and know what we're dealing with.
Right. Well, that seems like a big no-no.
Ultra,
Yes,
thoughts,
I have them. Yes,
concerns?
many, always.
Any objection?
I don't know. I mean, we need to figure out where we are and how to find a way out of here and back to civilization. Well, mapping our surroundings makes sense.
Well,
I mean, if there's people here, perhaps they can help us.
At the worst case, if there were people here, maybe there was some supplies left over.
I have no objections, for we are already here. We have not traveled for a small amount of time to reach where we are. The option always exists to return and retrace our steps, or we can press onwards. Which it seems, for one reason or another, we are here. We've already made such progress. If you have doubts, perhaps you should voice them.
Fine.
Okay, I'll take the lead. Everybody be as quiet as possible. Sienda, quiet.
Okay. So you begin pushing into the storm, Lara.
Mhm.
As you walk in, the first thing you notice is the smell of ozone. That lightning scent hangs in the air here. The sparks start to grow around you as you walk in. If you would, go ahead and give me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. 12.
12.
I just had to say that.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't actually think we were walking into the storm. I just thought,
Yeah, same.
yeah,
same.
map the area.
It's kinda
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that.
I mean, if you'd like to go around the outside, that's fine. Like I said, going towards the tower, the entire tower is enwreathed in this deep red storm. So if you want to just circle around the outside of this wall perimeter, you can do that without going into the storm. But if you're trying to get into the tower, so far as you see right now, you'll be walking directly in.
How
I mean,
Is there
I already rolled,
is there
Um,
possibly an on-off button anywhere? No.
I mean, but it's a totally understandable thing for your character to not go walking
that's-
into the red death storm. So
how far are we from where we are to the tower?
roughly 50 or so feet, 60 feet.
Okay.
It's not a very large space, but
Do we still have rope left?
yeah, you'd have easily over 100 foot from the
Okay.
wall.
Shanda, hold on to this. Okay. And I'll judge the distance to the tower. Okay. I'll tie the other end of the rope around my waist. It will work. Mitra, hold on to the rope as well. Here's what I'm thinking. I'll go scout ahead. If the storm is in any way impassable, or there's something in the storm that, that I reckon I cannot take or handle, I will pull on said rope 2 times. That's when you guys pull me back in.
2 times. And what happens if you? What if it's once? What if it's 3 times?
If it's 3 times, pull me faster.
What if you don't pull?
Then I'm fine.
This is getting complicated.
Does this look familiar to me, DM?
No.
Not something I might have seen in my dreams or visions.
Give me a history check real quick.
Are you guys ready?
Fine, I'm holding the rope.
20.
20. It is the construction of this place is vaguely similar to that the floating city you've seen a few times. But the space itself is not familiar. It just seems akin to.
Right. The storm itself wasn't
No.
something I saw or noticed it.
No, none at all. Okay. So you go sprinting, moving quietly. How are you planning on pushing into this storm, Lara?
So I was thinking I have the rope. The storm is quite rough, I assume, or it looks quite rough. The storm.
Hey, I have an idea. How about we throw some shit through it first?
Okay.
You know, I mean, okay.
So, I dig through my shit and I have like a mushroom, so in my bag. Like,
Okay, so if I throw this through it and it, it's destroyed, then probably you're toast as well, right? Okay, here's a mushroom.
You throw the mushroom, and it doesn't make it more than 3 or 4 feet into the storm before it is struck by a bolt of red lightning and scattered to the wind.
Right. Okay, so are we leaving?
But what if it is only against a food item? I mean, perhaps this was just luck. Throw something else in.
No, I'm not wasting food because I'm not. Yeah, just not. Okay.
I want to
Take
shoot
part of
an
my
arrow
ration.
into the. I'll shoot an arrow into the red mist.
You'll throw what? Oh, shoot an arrow?
Shoot an arrow. Yeah.
throw it.
You fire an arrow and the same thing happens. The second it gets a few feet into the mist seems to roil slightly, and then lightning strikes it and shatters the arrow.
I'm gonna walk around the red mist. Is it possible to walk around? I'll find.
Yeah, so far as you can see, you can walk around the outer perimeter next to the walls, and you should be fine.
Okay.
Keyword being should.
Other option. We
Define
stay
sense.
grounded, and the lightning won't hurt us. Correct?
What do you mean? That's not how it works. It's
You
like
said
going
divine
into
sense, Tyken.
Yeah,
it's like going into fire and being like, oh, don't worry, I'm slightly wet, I'll be fine.
It's not behind total cover.
You said 30 feet?
60 feet, it's not behind
60.
total cover.
You don't currently feel anything with your divine sense.
Worded.
Word.
Also go ahead and do a detect magic.
Okay.
That's within 30 feet, so I don't know that I'm going to
Yeah.
get anything.
The storm is immensely magical. Evocation, but it's not that you're blind. It's just it's a pretty powerful spell, and you're standing
So it's
3
a
feet
spell.
away from it. A spell of some kind, yes. That would, I guess, for better explanation, and for those who would not be as familiar with our system, it would be very clear this is not a natural effect. That something put this here.
But who? Da da da. Well, we can't go through anyway, so let's get the fuck out of here.
Alright. I mean, I don't see the future.
What? Why did you think about this? You didn't have to think about this. You should have said yes. We're leaving.
Yes. Really.
Great.
Tyken, if you would roll me another wisdom saving throw. How bad? Natural 1. Okay. Right as you finish saying, yeah, for a total that's fairly good. Lara, Cheyenda, right as you finish saying what you were just saying, you watch as Tyken takes like a strange lurching step forward and then sprints into the red mist in front of you. Tyken, you immediately take. You immediately take 16 points of lightning damage as 2 bolts rack through your form.
Okay.
You guys hear him crying out in pain as he sprints deeper into the fog.
What the fuck?
I want to. Let me think about this real quick. I have fast hands.
Yep, the all-powerful fast hands.
So
We're not even in combat.
Yeah. Let me think. What is wise? Do I just shoot him?
Yeah.
You trying
down
to put him down?
No, yeah, no, down him. Down him. The storm will take mercy on him and just down him.
Yeah. Like, oh wow.
Yeah.
How far out is he?
10, 15 feet right now.
Yeah. The other two are still holding their rope, yes?
That's on them.
Mitra is
So, you
still
know-
on the rope.
Okay,
Also, sorry,
I know.
I lied. Mitra doesn't actually have that rope because she's used that to tie the MacGuffin to her body.
Ah, yes. It's okay. So you guys have roughly 50, 60 feet of rope, not 100.
Okay, can I bonus action sprint after him and action grab him and tell them to pull the rope as soon as I grab him?
Go ahead and both of you give me just an initiative check. Let's see who's faster on the draw right now. Tyken or Lara.
An initiative, you said?
Yeah, let's call it initiative. It's a good way of judging. Okay.
You know, also known as a dex check.
Mm-hmm. What you got, Tyken?
15.
15. Tyken, your mind is ablaze with thoughts of what could be inside this tower. And you notice as you're running in and the lightning is striking your body, you're slowing down. It's like something is pushing against you, almost like you're walking through water. Lara, you move with an unnatural speed compared to most humans, but even you feel affected and slowed by this area. You very quickly close the gap to your brother, put hands on, and give the rope a tug. But you can feel, even as you're closing the gap on him with your immense speed, it was close, exceptionally close to you not catching up to him immediately. Mitra and Cheyenda, if you would both give me athletics to try and yoink this rope and pull both of them back out of the storm. Lara, you take
12.
you take 12 points of lightning damage as two bolts rack through your form as well.
Jesus Christ. They're both gonna die.
Of about an owie. That's an 11 on the athletics.
12 and an 11. You guys begin pulling, but you're not making too much headway too quickly. You notice that as you're pulling, it's hard to even get... You're getting a grasp on the rope, you're giving it a pull, but it's not moving as fast as you would expect it to. You're not actually yoinking them in the way you expect. It's almost like they're being pulled in deeper in that moment.
Cool.
Your question, Tyken?
It's been 3 minutes since I cast that magic.
Probably not.
Okay, perfect. I've never done a concentration check before. So I roll.
Yeah. Con save. It's con check, no? No, save.
Yep.
Save.
It's a con save,
Save,
and you just
save.
have to
Yeah,
beat
you can.
an 11, 10, yeah. There we go.
Then my second one. So I just did it before. I was like, wait a minute. If I'm getting closer, maybe there's
Yeah.
something within range at this point that I can intervene. But I just,
Okay.
I took the damage to make it.
Okay, so
Yes.
what are the chances I can hold on to my brother and chug a potion?
You can certainly try.
I will.
Okay, so you
I
drink a
still have
potion.
well, I have one red potion. I don't know if it's a health potion, but hopefully
Yeah.
it'll help me in this time of need.
Go ahead and roll me a d20. What you got?
Not one.
That one. Nice. Give me 1 second.
Laura drops the potion.
Oh, you dropping the potion might not be that bad of an idea. You don't, you know.
I mean, I'm surprised the potion survived fucking lightning. You know?
Maybe the lightning will go for the potion.
Fast hands. Laura just moved it. Moved
Yeah.
it around the lightning to get hit herself.
Laura's too quick, man. The lightning.
Yeah.
You drink the potion, and the second you feel the potion run down your throat, it's like you have fire in your stomach for a moment. It is a nauseating, like extremely nauseating experience, but it doesn't seem to heal your wounds. We'll see what
It's
happens.
not a healing potion.
Cheyenda and Mitra, if you could give me another athletics check real quick.
I don't
Yeah,
want to.
well,
Have
I
we
would
been in
rather
there
not.
long enough to take more damage yet?
You will be after this check.
Ooh, 18, bro. Getting the old man muscle.
23 and 18, nice.
You guys pull already?
They both give hearty pulls, and you both take 7 points of lightning damage as more bolts rack through your forms. But you're both pulled clear right after those 2 strikes hit both of you. Everybody up? Everybody good? Life is solid?
Are you fucking crazy?
Laura will just I don't know, I guess, is it real from the wounds? I don't know, just scream out from pain, I suppose.
Is it real?
Yeah, I mean, you're both covered in small black char marks where these lightning bolts were racking through you and burning your skin.
7 points of healing to Lara for cure wounds.
Okay.
Okay, so after you heal me, Laura will look up at you and say, "Are you fucking insane?"
Do I have any recollection of what just happened at all?
You have... You know you ran in. It's not that you don't know that. You just don't know why. The thought of what could be inside has passed your mind entirely, and now it's just, yeah, I just started running.
No.
Also, Laura, as you say, are you fucking insane? A small, belch of fire escapes your form and almost singes Tyken's face as you're saying.
Are you fucking insane? I'm standing right here.
So I drank a potion. Anyway, moment please. And she will get up and just walk to not to the storm, but just open the mouth at the storm, see if anything happens.
Yeah, as you open your mouth, you belch about a 10-foot flame in a straight direction from it that hits the storm and seems to kind of gather within it and be quelled by it very quickly. And that burning in your stomach is still hanging in strong. It feels really gross.
So without saying anything, she's gonna undo the rope from her. She's gonna walk up to Shayanda and tie the rope multiple times around Shayanda in a very, hopefully, not Shayanda, sorry, not Mitra, sorry, not Shayanda. Mitra.
Okay.
Walk up walk up to her brother and do the exact same thing, but make the rope smaller, so it's a very, very short distance. Basically, they would have to nearly be hand in hand. So this guy will not suddenly start running again, as he has been doing 2 times now. And she will just do this to her brother,
The classic I'm watching.
and to Mitra, she'll be like,
Mitra, if you would,
Yeah.
would you be paying close attention to the storm in this moment, or would you be paying close attention to your friends?
They were all yelling at each other, right? That's exactly what was happening.
Very common occurrence, yes.
Yeah, so, I'm just, it's it's nothing new for Tyken to just go do crazy shit. It's nothing new for Laura to go do crazy shit. And it's nothing new for Shayanda to yell at Laura for doing crazy shit. So, I think, it's maybe half and half. I don't think she'll be, intently looking at the storm, but it's more of a case of, this shit's happening. What are we going to do now? I would definitely say it's half and half. I wouldn't say that she's intently focused on the storm.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom save? Okay. Where is my wisdom? Ooh, this is a nice roll. And that is a 14.
Beautiful. You notice, out of the corner of your eye, inside the storm, one of those small stones that floats within it flashes red, this dull pulse that kind of fills the smoke around it, the fog around it. You feel it try to grab onto your mind, but this is something you've dealt with before. Things playing with your mind is a very frequent occurrence for someone of your stature. You shrug the feeling and understand now that maybe it's the storm that pulled him in and not himself.
Yeah, it kind of takes her a moment to just be like, I get it. And then she's going to start moving backwards. She doesn't really say, hey guys, she'll start moving, and I guess if the two of them are tied, Tyken's being pulled back with her, and she's moving backwards. And then she says, there's something strange about this creation. You should move back.
Oh, really?
Stranger than it seems.
I don't see how that's possible.
There's a compulsion to... She lacks the words for it. She's like, it pulls you in. That's what I'm saying. So, let's
What?
stay back and think about it. She's stumbling back. She's talking and walking. I don't know how Tykin's reacting to it.
Cool. Only he got caught in, and last time he tried to jump in a hole.
Of course.
It's not out of character.
Laura is gonna.
Hey, you don't need to sell me on it. I'm out.
Laura's gonna look at Shayenda and literally just meaning, let's go and sign it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gone. Fuck it. Fuck this.
All right. Can I have athletics from each of you as you climb up? Mitra, you can take yours at disadvantage because you basically have to drag Tyken out of here because he's tied so closely to your form.
That's my disadvantage. So
Alright,
15 and 11.
Okay. Shayenda.
Yep. Getting the walls. The rollies.
11.
12. 11.
Wow, 11 gang.
You guys take a moment, and it's certainly not an easy climb, even though it's just 20 feet. But you do make your way back over and into the more safe area outside of the proper keep, we'll say. You all would hear as you're leaving the area, like a tiny giggle, and then a few more of those zapping noises that you heard when you were in the storm. But you don't notice anything in the moment. Just hear the noise rather than see anything. This outer... Go ahead.
Can I make it subject to see if I can think where that object came from?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check.
I'm good. Shit.
Okay. This outer area is mostly flat stone with a few, I forget which ones, rise, stalactite, stalagmite, whatever. But a few jutting stones that stick up, 10 or so feet in spaces. The outer area here, now taking a closer look, has been pockmarked by what seem like either fire or lightning, something of the like, has kind of beaten into the stones in places, and you see these blackened pieces of the stone that surround you, kind of intermittently. And the tower itself, now you can see through some of the windows, is occasionally flashing those colors a little more brightly than before, and it's higher up the tower than it was before. So you all begin to head back towards the Longhouse. Start your long journey back through your marked path in the cave, in the mine.
Yeah, that was the thing we did. Yeah. Probably the best course of action, unless someone begs to differ.
Sounds great.
Okay. It takes you guys some time, and there's a little bit of confusing backtracking towards the end of your trip through the mines. The original marking system didn't go so well. But you do finally find your way back out and emerge back out into the forest proper. You're a short, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes from the Longhouse, if that's where you're choosing to head back to. But you survived a short dive into the mines here.
And mines, we ended up, going through here, but there might be other paths, right?
Yeah, there's certainly more to explore down there. You guys just happened to get pretty lucky in your pathfinding through the mines and end up in that space. Lucky.
And then, sure. Okay.
Compared to getting lost in the mines for the next few days with only the food you have on you.
Okay.
So you all begin the trip back to the longhouse then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, unless is this like another landmark we've missed? I mean, we knew the mines were there. We knew there's like some kind of swamp.
You know that now, basically, as you leave the mines, off to your right, if you follow the stone wall here, eventually you'll reach the tip of that tower that pokes through into this layer that you're on. But other than that, you guys have pretty well explored all the landmarks that you found so far. You just know that the nose of that tower, the actual point, sticks up into the layer you guys are normally on.
Yeah. Okey.
Well, after a short, uneventful trip through the woods, you guys make it back to the longhouse, settle back into what you're considering home for the moment. I believe you guys blocked 2 of the doors and left the open door, the destroyed one open.
There should be like one entrance
yeah.
into this place.
So you guys wrap back around into that space and get back inside. Some of your food supplies that you have laid out still sitting there. You do notice a couple of new sets of like small paw prints that track in and out of the home. And there's a couple of jars missing, but other than that, everything seems to be in order inside here.
Taki just kind of keeps to himself and settles in and just is thinking about the day's events, trying to figure out what to do, what happened.
So, did it take the whole day to like do the whole go and then come back?
It took a few hours, probably something like 5-6 hours. So it's, considered midday, I guess.
A non-negligible amount of time. Okay.
Midday. Didn't that whole forest thing? Maybe I'm not remembering correctly.
The forest fight happened at night, and then you guys rested for the evening.
Yes,
and then you guys
right.
took the morning and immediately went to the mines.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool.
That's my bad. It's been weeks, guys. I know.
Okay. Mitra would suggest everyone take some time to gather their bearings and eat what they have to.
We're taking a short rest.
Certainly, you could take a short rest, a long rest. It's all up to you guys. You're under no time constraints. I mean, it's probably early evening, midday, somewhere in there. It's always hard to tell down here, but you certainly haven't been awake long enough to be sleepy yet, if that's more the question. Other than the ass whooping you just received, Lamel.
Well, Shanda's gonna, set up his cooking stuff and get cooking.
Okay.
What is he cooking?
Yeah, what's Shanda cooking today? With what? Cheese, mushrooms?
I'm cooking crystal meth.
Yeah.
At the edge of the bowl.
Science.
Laura, we have to cook.
Is my belly like feeling better, or how is my stomach?
After the course of the walk back, you would have probably belched some small gouts of fire a few more times, and then it would have cleared up.
You need some help?
Me?
Yes.
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Just go do something else.
How big is the hole in the wall?
The hole in the wall's maybe 6 foot across and 8 foot tall. It's larger than the door frame was. Something much larger came through here at some point. Shinda, would you give me a survival check to see how well you cook tonight?
I'd rather not. Okay, so I roll. Please roll. Okay, that's 18 minus survival. What's my survival? It's shit, isn't it? Yeah, 16.
Hey, with what you have, you cook better than most people could dream to. You conjure up a few old memories of cooking from your youth and managed to pull something very nice together for the group to eat.
Okay, like, is it like
Yeah.
a bell? Like, is this something that like makes a lot of noise, like a bell,
I
or
have a bell.
or a cowbell, or a triangle?
I have
or-
a bell.
If I'm not asking you, I'm asking the DM.
I mean, noise-making wise that you can think of on your person or in this place is probably like beating on your walk. That would make some noise.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm using this. Okay, let me think.
Lara!
Yes. You need help?
No. I need you to give me this bell you always have on you somewhere.
Why?
Just give it to me.
I'll scrounge through my backpack. No. Oh, found it.
It's right there. It did the
Yeah.
ding ding thing.
Yes. Why
Okay,
do you
come
need
on.
it?
What do you need to know why I need it?
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
It's very important.
Right. And as I'm going through my backpack, I'll be like, oh wait, I have these tools. And if possible, I'd like to take out my alchemist supplies.
Yeah.
And there's no upstairs to this place, is there?
No, it's one open floor.
Is there like anywhere I could set it up so it's not actually like in the cold wind or anything?
I mean, other than the door being open, which I mean, of course, is a source of cold wind, other than that, the inside of the space is fairly warm. Cheyenne is cooking from a small stovetop, basically inside a wood stove. So it's producing plenty of heat. It's not going to be, your supplies won't freeze per se, as long as you guys can keep managing to make fire, which is pretty easy in a forest. So,
And there's no desk or anything, right?
I mean, there's the kitchen area, and there is a large table, like an eating table that you guys have used a few times now. You could set it up there.
Would that take the whole table?
No, it would just take up a portion of it. You don't have like an entire alchemist's
Okay.
laboratory in your backpack.
Yeah, I'll set up there. I think.
Well,
yes.
while you're setting up and stuff, I'm gonna, ring the bell like a motherfucker. And be like,
It's meal time! Meal time!
until
Well.
they're all gathered.
Mitra and Tyken, no matter where you are in the surrounding settlement area, you would certainly hear him yelling and shaking a bell vigorously.
So what
Is
part is
that
that?
necessary?
Yes, from now on, when I ring the bell, it's meal time. If you're not there, you're not getting shit. Also, it's very important to mark the passage of time, okay? We're in deep shit here. So it's important to keep track of time and of days. We're gonna eat 3 times a day, okay? 3 times a day. If you're not eating, it's a problem. And I fix problems.
I can just
Since we're
start
talking
eating.
about problems, I'll start eating as well. Does anybody have any blank sheet?
What?
Blank sheet.
What for?
We should make a map.
You mean paper?
Yes.
Not a map from earlier? That was in the long
Yeah,
house?
we have that drawn leather skin thing.
Mhm.
Is the castle on it?
The what?
The castle?
What castle?
Well, the tower.
Oh, the tower. The tower. No, don't think so.
Is it?
Okay.
Mm-mm. No, it's not marked anywhere on there. It's
No,
just
no,
the
no.
lines.
I'm gonna put a marker on it. I'm gonna put like a like a circle.
Mhm.
Yeah, circle.
You guys take some time, and I don't need a skill check for it. Between the 4 of you, you pretty well figure out where you think it is, and the rough distance compared to the mire that's off to the same direction and things like that. So, you go ahead and mark the tower and mark that you could also achieve getting there through the mines. Slowly but surely, this rough-hewn map is starting to come together more and more. But it's still pretty rough. Nobody here is a cartographer yet.
Really?
Is there any place else to like check out?
So far as you see on the map, there's nothing else.
There
You've
wasn't
checked.
on my flight this morning. There wasn't anything.
No.
That stuff.
You had trouble seeing past the mire itself because of how much fog is kind of coming from it. That space that you guys fought the large centipede-like creatures the night before. That part of the swamp seems to emanate fog fairly high up into space, so it's hard for you to see past it in that direction. And the other way you guys haven't really explored is past the campsite to your east. I believe I need to look at my notes to make sure I'm right on that. Yeah, to the east, there's that campsite, but it's marked with that same rune for death everywhere. The one that you guys have stayed well away from so far.
Nice.
After eating, can I start fiddling around with the alchemist supplies?
Yeah, what are you trying to make?
I think I would, if possible, I'd like to make oil or acid, preferably acid. But...
Okay. Give me just 1 second.
Okay, yes.
So you said we saw like little tiny footprints.
Yes, you saw them as you were, as you guys were coming back into the longhouse, the door, the only one that's still open. There's a few small sets of footprints, paw prints that are passing through, and there were a couple of food supplies missing, but nothing too major.
I'm gonna take part of that rope that we had, just cut off
Yes.
a little section of it, and just start I can't think of the word, but you know what I mean, taking it apart.
Okay.
I'm essentially what I want to do is try to make a snare.
Okay. Understandable. Give me 1 second, Lara. I'm gonna find that page that we had, unless you have it on hand.
Which one?
The one for making all your goodies.
Oh yeah, I have it.
Please do send.
I believe you mean this one.
Probably. We'll see. Open that up.
And otherwise, maybe it's this one.
I believe this one.
This one.
I don't know. How much are you sending me?
Come on. But I'm pretty sure it's the first one.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So you'll spend pretty much the rest of today getting together a small amount of supply for trying to make your first vial of acid. You start to search the surrounding area. You have to venture a little far from the longhouse, but not so far that you're nervous anything might attack you. But we'll come back to that here in a little bit as you guys spend another evening in the longhouse. Mitra, Shayenda, Tyken, anything that you have that you're wanting to do other than building a snare for you, Tyken?
That's really much it. We're not,
Okay.
as far as I know, venturing out the rest of the day.
I mean, I'll be putting to work my needle and thread.
Okay. And Mitra, what do you plan to do this evening?
Mitra's going to stay up and use her barbarian brain to think about what she saw today.
Okay.
That's a hard task.
It is indeed. Lara, if you would, give me a survival check.
Yes. 14?
Yeah, it takes the majority of your evening to find the supplies to make the acid. You have to wander fairly far, finding different mushrooms and undergrowth that'll do the right things when put under some heat and boiled down. But you do manage to remember most of what your father taught you, and you come up with 2 vials of acid this evening. Enough for 2 uses if you were going to throw them, or even I guess apply them to a weapon if you do have a magical weapon, so you could do that without damaging it. Okay. Tyken, if you would, Let's see. Oh my. Been a lot. Yeah, let's do another survival check as well. As you try to make your snare to set up in the doorway. 14. You weren't a particularly outdoorsy kid, but you somehow managed to pull it together and managed to make a fairly functional snare. At one point you do catch yourself in it as you're putting it together, but then you kind of take it back apart, put it back together, and it seems to be stable enough. Do you tell your friends about the small snare that you've put in the doorway?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have meat.
So, you all spend the rest of your evening going about repairing some clothes, prepping some alchemisty materials, and setting up a snare. Mitra looking deeper into her mind's eye and finding answers to forbidden secrets. Before you all start to fall to rest, the timely lack of bioluminescence starts to kick in as nightfall fills this space. You guys do, pretty early in the evening, hear that loud clacking noise at the edge of the woods off to your west. But it doesn't seem close enough that it's planning on coming and kicking in the door, just rather that something has wandered into the woods and is probably a snack. Who's taking first watch this evening?
Mitra will.
Okay. You all fall to rest then. Mitra, if you would, go ahead and give me a perception check as you rest beside the open door, looking out into the night.
That's an 8.
8?
Yeah.
It's not usually that hard for you to stay awake, the worries of the evening filling your mind, thinking more about the fact that you're from a people who are known for being wanderers, and you seem excessively lost in this moment. It isn't too long before you fall asleep at your post. The cool night air and the distant sound of wildlife coming and going, putting you right to sleep, getting you very comfortable for the evening. You all sleep through most of the night. Fairly early on in the night, though, you all hear a clatter and a bang as Tyken's snare in the doorway seems to go off. You all awaken with a start to see the small blue form of the deep Pixie caught in the snare, now hung a few feet off the ground, wrapped up in rope very tightly. Right around the mid-waist, its small form actually caught up very sufficiently in what would normally be a small game trap. Yeah. The giant black beady eyes staring out from its position in the doorway looking at you.
What do we do with it?
I continue to go over and just grab a hold of it.
Okay.
Kind of keeping it in the stair. I'm not going to kill it yet.
Okay. So you're just holding a deep Pixie?
Mm-hmm. Kind of, you understand? Kind of.
The head nods up and down.
Understand me?
Really, really slowly, just an up and down motion.
Do you know how to get rid of that storm in the ruins?
Getting into the deep stuff already. Jesus. What about its name?
It does one of these. The eyes are easily larger than yours, even though its form fits in your hand. And they're just black, pupilless, huge sheets. It looks pretty scared. You can feel it trembling in your hand. Tyken, why don't you roll me a wisdom saving throw?
Yep. 17.
17. You hear that voice from your dreams at the back of your mind just utter the word weakness, and you feel your hand start to clench down on its form. And then I don't need to do that. You let it go a little bit. You don't let go of it, but you loosen the grip.
Mitra will approach and say, "Small one, why have you come?"
At what languages does everybody speak in this group?
Oh, good question.
Been a while.
Major speaks Dwarvish and Giant.
Nice. Common and Orcish and sign language.
Okay.
Common, Elvish, Dwarvish, and Broken Sign Language.
Okay.
Celestial,
Tyken.
Common, and Elvish.
Okay. It begins to speak, but the speech is very strange to all of you. It's completely unfamiliar. It is unnaturally low for something so small. Tiny vocal cords shouldn't be able to make these massive guttural noises. And it starts talking very quickly, and you can feel it's trying to get a big breath in to speak more, but it can't because you're holding its form, and you're not being exceptionally rough, but it's
Right,
just
like, I'm not trying to hurt the
you're a
thing,
lot
but
bigger than this thing,
right,
yeah.
I'm not trying to hurt it, I'm just trying to... Clearly this thing has followed us.
Yes, it appears it. And it is trying to communicate, but it's a language none of you seem to speak in this moment. The large black eyes darting around the room, the wings trying to beat in your hand.
English. Common.
No English.
We know it understands Common.
Yes, it very
Yes,
clearly seems to
common.
understand you, but it doesn't seem to be able to speak it.
Speak Common.
I'll grab like a stick, and in the dirt, just... Can you write in Common?
So you let it go then to try and
No.
write with the stick?
No, I'm pointing and asking the question.
Oh.
Like,
Um,
I wanted to write it so it possibly understands what I'm trying to do. Like,
yeah, as you start to write, it's looking at it, and it's hard to read this thing's features. It's very, I mean, it's humanoid, but it's not a human, right? But it starts to kind of shake its head again, like it doesn't seem to understand.
Major will request a stick.
Quest
All right,
slug.
and hand over the booth. So she
There's barbarians who would like to rage, and barbarians who request the stick.
So she takes the stick, kind of like picks out the writing, and then draws like a larger figure that's she hopes represents her, and then the smaller figure of the pixie. Points at the finger, points at the pixie, points at the larger figure, points to her, and then she's going to offer over the stick. And it takes a moment before Mitra asks Tyken to put it down.
okay, before I do that, I want to cast command on it.
Okay.
Wisdom 14.
You feel your magic take hold on its tiny form.
Calm.
Okay.
Make sure it calms down.
Yep. The breathing slows massively, actually. You
So
didn't
I
realize
don't
that it
want this
seemed to be
thing
panicking.
Right, I don't want this thing to run away once I let it go.
Right. It seems to relax.
I'll slowly put it down on the ground.
It gets up on its 2 feet, and then the wings beat a few times, and it floats a few inches off the ground. Just kind of looking at all of you for a moment.
Yeah, Mitra her brain's really doing numbers today, and so after hopefully establishing this is me and that is you, she asks, "Why have you come here?" and hands the stick over.
It takes the stick, and the stick for you guys is a twig, but for her it's like a lance. This tiny pixie is holding this massive stick. She takes it and draws like a question mark over your head, and then kind of like looks up and scratches hers, and then just keeps looking at you and kind of holds the stick back up to you.
Do I get the sense that it's just saying it's curious?
Yeah, very easily all of you kind of go, okay, so this thing just wants to know what the fuck's going on. Mitra, if you would, give me a wisdom saving throw as you take the stick from this thing.
Wisdom save, okay.
I know it understands me.
Mhm.
I think I already asked, does it know how to get how to get through the storm? So I asked something like it.
Yeah, you did.
18.
18.
Yep.
For just a heartbeat, you see a flickering image in your head, but you're unsure of what it was, and then it passes.
So Mitra shakes it off and gives a very brief rundown as to what happened, in as few words as possible.
You saw
That first.
like you saw a flash. That was talking about.
Oh, no, she's not talking about that.
Oh,
no,
okay.
she's on.
I thought you were telling us like
she's
you
on-
just saw something. That's what I thought. Okay.
So you're giving the rundown of what you guys have been through to the Pixie very quickly.
Yeah, that's it. So we went here, and we entered somewhere, and there was this figure. She points at the large MacGuffin inside, and then he says we fell through something, and then we were here.
It takes a moment, and it floats right up into your face. Like, I mean, it's as small as your head, so it just right in front of you. And it kind of holds a hand out and starts floating towards your nose. Make me a wisdom saving throw, Mitra.
Okay.
Splat.
Wow, 19.
19. You feel an image pass through your mind, but it's so quick and you so immediately, almost reflexively, you don't want anything playing in your mind. It's a part of who you are to stop things like this. And you shove it out, focusing on other things in the moment, automatically almost.
Can I just ask it? Can you help us get into the ruins, or even get out of here?
It kind of cocks its head for a moment, and then it looks at you and it just kind of shakes its head like, yeah, I could get you somewhere else is what it looks like. You know, it's a kind of, sure, there are other places. It seems to understand that you want to not be here.
Right.
But it doesn't really seem to understand more than that.
Ask it if there's other people like us alive.
As Laura just.
As Laura says it, the pixie just kind of looks at her and then does like a yes motion with its head.
Okay.
The
So
pixie
we're gonna
seems
go
to be
find
remaining
you?
fairly calm, just floating around in the space, kind of looking around inside the longhouse.
So are we going to look for these people?
Who's she asking?
Everybody.
Yeah, there are other people.
It's a good
Everybody?
question.
A group question? Okay, Mitra does her usual thing and just kind of walks out of the longhouse.
I want to know what's in the ruins personally. I can more interested in that than anything else. But he wants to get out of here, obviously. But the ruins are interesting to him now.
The pixie starts to kind of flit a little faster and pick up some speed, the sluggishness seeming to wear away for a moment. And it flies over to Shaenda, gets right in your face, and just starts kind of trying to poke.
Kills it.
Do you start swatting at it?
Yeah, I'm fucking sweating at it. If it comes to
Okay.
anything.
Go ahead, just roll me a d20, add your strength modifier.
Pow!
Our
So
only means of getting.
Can I cast
death.
Command on Shaenda?
13.
Calm down.
It jukes the slap and just kind of tries to lay a hand on some of the wrinkles in your face. It's I don't know, confused by them. It's poking and touching at them. You still swatting at it? Trying to get it away from you?
Especially if it's fucking touching me. What the
Okay.
fuck?
So Tyken, are you casting command on?
Shaenda?
Shaenda?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I'm gonna resist
Wait,
that.
did we get our long rest already?
Yeah, you guys would be long rested.
Oh,
because
okay.
you
I
all
didn't know
slept
if
for
I
a
did-
full evening.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know
Is
if this
it-
was
is that-
before or after.
Is that a wisdom save?
Wisdom 14,
Or
yeah.
charisma?
Wisdom
Charisma
14.
or wisdom? Wisdom
Command?
14. I fail.
Calm.
What's I mean calm?
Calm down. Stop swatting at the fucking thing.
Does that fucking work?
Yeah, I mean, calm would put you in a state where you're unbothered by something like that, I would assume.
There is no fucking way. Calm emotions is like a level 2 spell.
Right. I'm not casting calm emotion, though. I'm casting
Yeah, but,
command,
like, you-
and I'm
if
commanding
you-
you to
you-
calm down.
Yeah, but like logically, if you're trying to emulate the effect of a level 2 spell with a level 1 spell, there's something wrong. You know what I mean?
Command is a busted spell. I will give you that.
I
A
guess if you just
single
say
word.
stop. I guess if you just say stop, I guess that's better. It's not
Right.
affecting mental, but it's an action.
Yeah, either
It's
way,
an
I mean,
action
stop.
performed.
Whatever's gonna get him to stop swatting at this thing and to leave it alone.
I mean, I'll stop, but I'll be like visibly
Rumbling.
shaking.
You can understand that you were just under a spell. Like, I think you would unknow it anyway, kinda.
Someone's getting shit under the pillow.
Shayenda, you feel this thing kind of like playing with the wrinkles on your face, messing with your hair, but you don't feel the urge to, yeah. And then finally it seems to lose interest and flutter away, going back towards the rest of the longhouse, just kind of looking around inside, opening cabinets with its little hands.
I'll ask it if it's hungry.
It
But
immediately,
it's
as you
opening
say
cabinets,
that,
looking for
yeah.
food.
Immediately as you say that, yeah, it looks at you very excitedly and then looks over at the table where you guys have left kind of the scraps of your meal from earlier, and it like flies over and just starts digging into mushroom cheese bread soup. Pretty quickly, because command is super short, right? It's like a 6-second duration. It's like a turn. Maybe.
One
Top
round.
10 unanswered mysteries. Yeah.
One round.
6 seconds.
So, I
So
assume
yeah,
this thing's-
pretty quickly, Shayenda, you feel the rage fill your form again.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's fine. I'll just go do something else. Just stare at the wall or something.
I'm sorry, I just didn't want you to hurt it.
Are you sorry?
Can I go outside and check on Mitra?
Yeah.
You're a little sorry.
Mitra, have you stayed near the longhouse, or have you just fucked off into the woods?
Well, Asuka, she's like quite literally outside. So she stepped outside and just kind of like was against the side of the longhouse, just standing there.
Are you
Thank you.
okay?
Laura hasn't unlocked enough friendship bonds to get on that question. And so she just looks at Laura and just closes her eyes and says, "I'm fine, thank you."
Okay. Do you have a problem with whatever that being is?
Looks back at Laura. There's a pause before she shakes her head.
Okay, because
Why?
generally the only time I've seen you walk outside was to garner information or check out the place. I've never seen you go outside for no apparent reason, just standing here.
Okay, that was a good speech check. So she stands there a bit longer and then she says, "When we were inside the mine, I felt something, a compulsion. I believe your sibling did too. I can't be sure, but I think that was it. It was for just a moment, but it was without a doubt not of my own desire. And once again, there was another compulsion when the little one arrived and drew close. I cannot make sense of it, and I would much rather not do something I may regret, so
I see.
outside."
Speaking of which, I have a confession, and I'll tell Shayenda as well. But the reason I actually
I'm busy.
ran away is I apparently can see, I don't know how to explain it, but I can see the ghost of my former partner, or well, deceased partner. I haven't seen them for a while. I mean, ever since I ran out and you guys came and saved me, I haven't seen them. I'm not sure if that ghost is real. I'm not sure why I can see them or why they can talk to me. And I am sorry for the problems I have caused you and the rest of the group. I don't really know how I ended up in that place far away from this house. As I recall, I was simply standing basically here, and before I knew it, I was out there. I'm very grateful you guys found me, and I hope it won't happen again.
Shadow's gonna like put his hand on her forehead. Is it like warm?
Not unnaturally so.
No. Then he's gonna delicately take a needle and poke her on the arm with it. Like draw blood.
Draws blood, and it stings, Laura.
You see this? That's real. That's real. And what you're talking about is not. It's in your head.
Wait, are you stinging me, not the fairy?
Yes!
Oh.
What would I touch the fairy? The fairy did nothing to me right now.
Pokes it with a needle. It's like getting stabbed with a sword.
I mean, I know this is real.
No. This is real. And if you think something else is not, then you just recall the fact that I poked you right there, and it hurts.
Wait, did Sarinda actually hear everything I said to Mitra or no?
What?
Well, he's reacting, so
Yeah,
he must
say.
he must be there.
Okay.
He must have heard everything, or had been in
I
proximity.
mean, you said I'm saying this, and then you said also I'm saying it to Shinda, so I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well.
In
It's
that
fine.
case, Laura will look up and say, was that necessary?
Yes.
Do you have a bandage?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a closet of medical supplies.
Right. Shayenda,
I don't want to hear it.
Shayenda,
I don't want to hear it.
you have to.
No. If you don't
Yes.
like it, it's the same. Okay? You're going crazy.
So you think I'm going crazy?
Yes.
Because the ghost I'm seeing is cat.
It's getting to you. Ghosts don't exist.
Then why
okay.
does she keep coming up?
Because it's in your head. You're just wishing she would. But she can't. Okay? She's in my bag. You got it? Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. So back on mission. Focus. We need to find the place. And when we find the place, we're good. And this thing you see, it doesn't exist. And if you see it, you tell it to fuck off and prick your arm. That's it. That's all it is.
Okay. I'll make sure not to get distracted anymore.
Well, yeah, and try not to get us killed also. Because, I mean, come on. If it got you running into woods in a bad place, it's bad.
I won't run off anymore.
Right?
I promise.
1 + 1 equals tons of danger. And ghosts don't exist.
I wish I could say that too.
Do they even teach you anything at school anymore? I mean,
I kind of mostly spend my time working with my dad.
well, that explains that. He was never any good at anything. Well, except what he does, but it's cool.
Yeah, Mitra just kind of looks at the two of them, having a back and forth, and then she says, "Well, what's
Hey, Mitra, what do you think?
About what?
About ghosts.
There are emotions, powerful ones that do not go when we go."
What? Okay, you're out of your mind too. I'm out of here. I'm leaving.
Chandra's leaving.
What? You're crazy. I don't want to hear that shit. He walks up. She just shakes her head and says, "Laura, you would do well to not be led astray by the things you see. Not that they are wrong or bad, but you must remember, they live in their world and we live in this one. Both have their own threats. Nonetheless, if we are interested in exploring this structure, then perhaps we should do so today. Any thoughts?"
Tychon is not close enough, right? I assume, to hear anything.
Tychon's preoccupied with the Pixie and the
Why do
woman.
everyone think everyone else is fucking eavesdropping on it? Come on, guys.
I mean, it's a quiet night in a longhouse. Like, there's no walls to break this
It's-
shit down.
It's a long house. There's
Yeah.
tons of space.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
We need to keep a close watch on Ty. I don't know what's happening with him, but I mean, this is the second time he just decided to run into danger. I guess it seems to run in the family, which is a different concern, but I worry that something is either happening to him, or maybe he's not in full control. I don't quite understand or know.
You must remember that whatever may be happening to your brother, we all share a common enemy, one which, I am certain, has not forgotten about us. So the danger is twofold. One. Okay. Perhaps we should return inside.
Alright, do we need to prep anything before we go out and figure out this place you want to just visit?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it, trust me. I'm working on it. Apart from that, she doesn't offer any other useful insights before heading back inside.
Lara, as you stand alone outside the longhouse, you feel her presence again. Catalin, the love of your life. You don't see her, but you hear her deep in the woods. And she just seems to be kind of quietly humming to herself. Not a happy tune, kind of haunting, sad tune. I wish it were that easy. And then the feeling fades. Clarity brought back to your mind.
Laura won't really say anything at first, and just look at where the humming came from. And she will whisper, I don't know if I will hear it, but she will whisper, "I'm sorry, but I need to focus on them right now. If you truly are a ghost, I don't really know what to do. If you're real, I don't know what to do. I'll figure it out later."
Later. It's all you hear rings through the woods.
then Laura will go inside.
You all settle in for the last bits of sleep before a hard day ahead, and I think that is a perfect place to take our break. So, you all finish the rest of the morning getting a little more rest in before waking up. Some of you with some newly awakened secrets in your head, considering very important people in your lives, and others of you just having spent the evening with a pixie. Morning comes, and the pixie is nowhere to be seen as you all start to get going.
Wait,
for real this time.
we get a second short rest? Or a second night's
It's
sleep?
basically a short rest, not a full rest. As you guys start to get the last supplies you need. After a short time, the pixie comes flying back into the longhouse, scooting around, poking at doors still. Having spent most of the evening paying attention to it, Tyken, it's a very naturally curious creature. It seems to open every door in the longhouse as if there's going to be something different every time it does that. And it just kind of flits around, poking and prodding. A few times it even lands on you and starts kind of like messing with your armor, poking around at your shield and your hammer. It does naturally stay fairly far away from Cheyenda after the first encounter, but it pokes around for a time before it seems that you guys are ready for the day. Where are you all planning on heading?
Does it have a name?
You not one that doesn't sound like someone burping. All you've heard it speak is some massive guttural noise.
That's his name.
Can we give it a name?
You can.
That's the name.
Yeah, the name is just Asher Burps.
I can reproduce it, probably.
I don't think I can reproduce that. Anybody want to give it a name?
What about
Well, snare. Caught it in a
That's
snare.
funny.
No?
There it is.
maybe? Yeah, I don't care. Snare's fine.
Okay. So now that you're all ready to go for this morning, where are you intending on heading? The fairy does seem to be staying. The pixie tends to stay in your group, in your midst for now.
So looking at the map, there's a tower, which we don't care for, right? We don't care for it.
I mean, if the Pixie's gonna help us get into it,
But is it? I didn't get that impression.
just let it lead us the way out. All the Pixie.
I'm not. I'm confused.
At this moment, the pixie seems to just be flying around in the group, waiting to see what you all plan to do.
Mitra, didn't you want to go someplace?
Yes. I thought we were returning to where we travelled previously. Unless there are newly made plans. She kind of like looks over everyone. I thought we were in agreement. And if not, that's no concern.
We want to go back to the tower again.
I mean,
Yes.
Okay, well, as long as you don't force me to go through there, I don't care.
Of course not.
Yeah, of course not.
And did the top of the tower not reach through where we travelled?
Read through.
Yeah, so that's a good question. The top of the tower above,
Yes, it seemed to be poking through onto the layer you guys stay on normally.
so it was above the tower. It was above the storm.
Yes. The tower itself stands high above the storm. The storm seems to be at ground level down there. But you guys could, in theory, pass through the bog that you had your fight with Lara in and then continue in that westerly direction to get to the tower eventually.
Sounds to me.
Though you have no idea what waits for you on the path there, or what's even there when you get there, other than just a huge hole in a tower poking through.
So either go that direction, the unknown, or follow back the way we came. I can fly up and go to the storm to the top of the tower.
Sounds complicated.
So either I go into that tower by myself, or we take the long trek in the unknown to get back to the tower. We all potentially.
I don't want to vote on that. Blank.
I mean, there may be a
Mitra.
way once I get into the tower to shut off the storm.
I think Mitra should go with you.
I don't know that I'm able to carry someone flying wise.
So
I mean, I can
what you're
try.
saying is-
I just don't know that I'm doing it.
how heavy are you, Mitra?
What?
How much muscle mass do you have?
She looks at herself and just looks back up at you, and like as if this is probably the stupidest thing you've ever asked her. How would I know?
And how much can you carry when you fly?
When she flies.
No, when he flies, my brother flies. He's thinking. Mitra doesn't wear any armor, right?
Mitra does not. Well, let me double check. I'm pretty sure she wears no armor.
I know my brother wears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm armored combat.
All it gives me is my actual fly speed. So it's up to DM whether I can carry someone, how that affects my flight speed.
You know my answer to this. It's the same answer we all give. You can certainly try.
Right. That's what I mean by that. Like, you can try. I don't know that we want that to happen. I think my flight speed is low enough that it's probably not a good idea.
And how do you know you're actually gonna be able to turn it up?
Don't know that. Know until I get in there.
And we just asked your pixie friend how to stop it.
I think we've already asked that question. DM, correct? We've asked the Pixie if they know how to shut it off.
Yep.
I'm just pretty
I
sure
mean, you asked if there was a way into the tower, or if it knew a way, and it said no. Or shook its head, rather.
So what if you can't turn it off? What if you decide to walk into the storm, and this time I'm not watching?
let's go the long way. We're all together.
Okay.
That's all I was asking. Saying these are two options. What do you want to do?
Sorry, out of character. I was floating the idea that we go investigate the top of the tower. What happened with that exactly? Because everyone started talking about going inside and flying in, and I was just kind of like, did I miss something?
Well, once we get to the top of the tower, then
Yeah.
assuming once we can go, if we can go into it, then we can explore the rest of it. If we can shut off the storm.
The storm doesn't fucking matter because the storm is way, way fucking below at the base, and we're going right to the fucking top of it. What does the storm have to do with anything?
The storm
Right?
stays at the bottom on ground level.
Oh, so it's
Like
not
it-
actually it part of the. So I thought it was just like the top,
There's-
like the top
there's-
floor of the tower, and the rest of it was in.
There is no way.
Oh, I gotcha.
Any
Never
more
mind, I
than that
misunderstood.
apart from what we
Fair
saw.
point.
Yeah,
I
I was kinda
misunderstood.
like-
Yeah.
I was really confused as to what was happening.
Gotcha. I
Just shut it off.
misunderstood the how the layout of it was. Okay, well then we're
And I
going the
mean-
other way. Let's go.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so you guys leaving through the west door, the broken door,
Yeah.
and pushing your way through past whatever may lie.
Yep.
Mitra, for you, I assume you're still carrying the black eye on your back at all times.
Always with the MacGuffin.
Okay. That large stone, you do notice that the Deep Pixie, like, you pick it up and shoulder the backpack, and the Deep Pixie, rather than flying, just kind of like sits on it, on your back. But just something to be aware of, that's where it seems to be at most times, rather than flying around wasting energy.
Oh no, Mitra's falling over. Oh no, God. Oh.
It's a little too much weight, my knees! You guys begin your trek down into the same foggy marsh that you fought in once before. It isn't too far of a walk at all. The path tends to wind and meander for no good reason, but you stay to the path as best you can, and strangely, you don't hear any of the clacking noises you've heard on most days before this. It's oddly quiet in the swamp at this time. You travel for a time, and you finally end up back at the semi-dock-like area that you found Lara at the first time during the fight, down at the bottom of this path. And in front of you lies, between knee and hip depth water for most of you. The trees stand high above it, the roots reaching down into the water and into the earth below that. But the area is strangely quiet, considering the nature space that you're in. Who is taking lead for this expedition? Who would like to give us some survival to see if you can maintain heading? Okay. Then a survival check it is. 7.
Well, we're lost.
What's Laura's survival modifier?
Not very good.
-1.
You're
you
-1
are
on
a brave
survival?
soul to take the lead. I just like how like there's this all this survival thing, and you've got like this actual like wilderness barbarian, and you're like, you're good, don't worry, I got this.
I got this, bro.
That's funny as shit to me. I don't mind. I just thought that was funny. Very God.
Mitra, I would say, as a point of brevity, you're real good at this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know something's not right from like the second step off of the dock and into the water. So if at any point you decide you'd like to take control of the situation, you do know that she immediately begins meandering left for no apparent reason, and everybody just follows along. Just no big deal.
Yeah. She, like, she's gonna raise her voice and say, "Is there any reason why you're going that way?"
This is the way, right?
Yeah,
Is there any
it's the way.
reason you're going this way?
This way.
Yes.
Yes, this way. Why would
There
I
are,
go
like,
that way?
There are thoughts going through her head, and she just says, "Just come back here for a moment. Just a
Okay.
minute, all of you."
Yeah.
Alright.
She's gonna take a moment to just look around, just look down, left, right, look at the sky. You see it's about knee-high water, waist-height for some. She's going to look around a bit, maybe get like a piece of debris or a puddle, and like just kind of a puddle or a pebble, sorry, and just like skip it along the length of the water, just to see how far that goes.
It skips for a time. One of the things you would notice is that there's like soft patches of grass that poke through in certain places, kind of tall reeds. But in a lot of them, the stone just skips right over them. The reeds almost stay under the water and give some sort of padding to raise where you're standing at times. Keep you from falling too deep, it seems.
And then Mitra gestures to seeming light in the metaphorical storm. The metaphorical light in the metaphorical storm. Says perhaps we should keep to a path. Maybe. How does that sound?
I'm following.
Sure, if you can lead the way.
Why don't you give me some survival, Mitra?
Okay, let's go that one. And that one would be a 4 though. That's a 6.
Beautiful.
Even better.
You guys begin pressing through, and you try to stick to the more solid ground path, where the land rides high and stands slightly over the water, and it is still, sopping, muddy, not easy travel. It takes a good time. And one of the biggest annoyances for you, Mitra, is you felt that you had a fairly good grasp on where you were trying to go, but every time that you find yourself back in the familiar, that feeling of leading a pack of people, kind of like when you would lead the exiles on expeditions, every time you get focused, the Pixie starts like flicking you in the back of the head as if it's bored and just doing something to give itself something to do. And every time that happens, you kind of like, where the fuck am I again? And then get back on the path as best you can. You guys travel for close to an hour in a fairly straight direction, a few meandering paths, before the clacking starts to appear off to your left. The water does start to ride even higher now. For most of you, it would be mid-riff. For you, Mitra, probably, lower waist. But it's starting to get some serious depth, and even the trees here are starting to look a little more sallow and thin. Certainly not a healthy place, and the fog starts to ride a little higher and make things even less clear for all of you. There are a few times where you have some close calls where it seems like some small is a relative term, I guess, these fairly maybe a meter-long fish that move through the water here move a little too close to a tree, and one of the smaller centipede creatures kind of latches down onto it quickly. And it's close enough to make you nervous, but they don't seem to be attacking you in this moment. You guys travel a little further along, and you finally arrive at a point where you can see a path again, these wooden, these kind of, mushroom wood slats inlaid into the dirt to show you a path to walk on that kind of wanders away from the swamp now. As you guys break out of the water, you do hear a heavy stone-on-stone noise back behind you. It's similar to the clacking, but massive and heavy enough that it shakes the ground at your feet. Seems that you got lucky today. But you guys arrive in a more solid ground environment. This rock wall hugs your right side now, and before you lies mostly flat grasslands that is still semi-damp and wet, but there's no longer trees providing constant cover. There's not as much wildlife. It's much more of a highland setting almost. As you walk, you can now see, breaking the tree line, the head of that tower sticking out in front of you. And it's still a good distance away, but you see now that it stands almost the same height again out of the ground. It is massively high in this space. But the window's still alight strangely with green and blue and purple as you wander towards it. You've traveled about, we'll say, half a day at this point, and you're getting close to the entryway here to this tower. You do notice that the storm is nowhere to be seen, and looking down over the ledge that you guys are arriving at, it's a 50-60 foot jump to get to the tower from almost any direction. A little less on one side as it's kind of leaned over. But you've arrived now, made it to the tower in just a day's travel, roughly.
There's a gap between us and the tower that we have to get to.
Yes. The hole that it pierces through has opened and fallen through in places, it looks. You don't know if that's natural weathering or a specific choice of whoever constructed it. But it is certainly not a drawbridge situation.
Okay.
How big's the gap? Did you say about 56 feet?
Something like that. Easily within your flight range if you were to choose to do that.
Right. I can get over there, no problem. I'm trying to figure out how my friends are going to get over there.
Indeed.
So anyway, I started a running jump. No, wait.
That would go really well.
I mean, I
For
could
the first, like 10, 15 feet
Okay.
at best.
Here's
And
what
And then
you
it'll
do.
really
probably
bad.
take Shyenda. Like, try to carry Shyenda across. I'm relatively lighter than the rest of everybody else. He's old and frail.
But he's old and frail. Means that he weighs nothing.
Ty. Hello, are you listening, Ty?
Yes.
Where's the tie? You have to take this rope. I'm going to teach you right now how to tie it properly. Actually, I'll look at the rest of the crew, and can I try and deduct if the weight of a rope would actually hold them?
Yeah, give me an intelligence check. Just flat intelligence.
Let's see. 17.
You're fairly confident that your hempen rope, although it's not super long, it's going to be a close call, is certainly strong enough to hold them as long as nobody goes sailing off and catches it at full strength. You know, gravity's a hell of a thing. But you think if it was just something where they needed to free climb it, they could probably do it, as long as they have the skill to do so.
If it's okay with everybody, we could have tie this end of the rope somewhere along the other side. We tie it somewhere around this side, and one by one we go over the rope. Well, over, under, whichever, just don't fall.
You would see a small tree. The roots are... one side of the roots hang over the edge here at this kind of breakaway point, but the other side seemed to be fairly firmly planted, and it'd be the best tying off point on this side that you could attempt. But it's certainly not the most stable thing.
You mean any other ideas?
No.
Okay, well, why not test the stability of these kind of fixtures we're going to use first and foremost, rather than that looks good enough, right? Not like stress test it like fucking punching it or something and trying to chop it down, but like, get an idea as to what it can and can't handle, especially if, we're not trying to have this be a one-way trip, or quite literally a one-way trip for some, that sort of thing. Just survey the surroundings a bit better before proceeding with any plan.
You said this for sure is like a broken, right? It's not like a drawbridge kind of thing.
No. It very clearly looks like this tower pierces through, and then wherever the land was before has started to cave away with time, and it's just fallen wider and wider away from the walls of that tower. Okay. Well, Mitra, if you're wanting to take a look around, why don't you give me a perception check?
Dirkly.
Mitra's doing that.
14.
Was that 20 or 14? I didn't hear it.
14, sorry.
14. You take a look around, and this space, like I said, has a small tree that's kind of leaned precariously out over the edge. Half of the roots dangle. You see some fairly small stones. They wouldn't be easy to carry, but about the size of the black eye, that same shoulder width, space. This area is fairly open and clear. There's no tree cover, really, other than this one remaining tree. And you do see what looks like the remains of an old path that would have probably led to the tower at one point, but it's fallen now, and it leads away deeper into the wilderness off to what would be your south from this point. But other than that, this place seems fairly clear. You don't see any predators or anything prowling the fields, and it's, again, stunningly quiet. You guys have been in, basically a jungle or a swamp for the past few nights. And the noises that come with that have fallen away entirely. This place is just eerily quiet, other than the occasional crackle from within the tower.
Curious. She'll consider that information. To return to the group. No news is kind of good news. Just like, okay. Whatever you have planned, I guess there's no point wasting time.
Okay, take the rope, tie it off where on that side.
Okay. You tie it off on the tree or one of the rocks.
Some place that it looks like it'll be secure. Their weight, they can cross it.
The easiest place for that would probably be the tree. Tying it off to a rock could lead to it slipping under the rock, if any pressure comes from it. So, but you could always give that a try. And again, I know Mitra said she wanted to stress test a little bit. So if that's the case, you could always give me an athletics to try and kind of pull the rope against the tree to see if it moves any.
I'll do that once I'm across the side.
Okay.
Before I do anything else, I'm gonna go to the little pixie thing that's sitting on Mitra's rock.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like point to myself, kind of point wings back to myself, and just kind of go like this, and then take a few steps back. So I don't want to frighten it when these things fucking come out of my back. And I'll just radiant soul, wings out, take off.
Okay. You would notice that the kind of so-called astral energy that projects these wings from your form is a different shade than it once was. It's not the gleaming gold that it used to be, or even the radiant white. It is kind of a dull gray, almost a sickly color. But you bamf the wings out, and the pixie herself kind of flutters hers a few times and starts to pick up off of the stone looking at you.
I'll hover for seconds, just kind of like wink.
It looks at Mitra specifically, gives like one more flick to the side of your head, and then takes off as well. You both bolt across this space and go over to one of the larger windows. And these windows are 2 heights of a person tall. They're very tall and long, but not very wide. There's no glass inside, it seems. They're just stone, portholes, basically. You slip inside immediately without any trouble. The interior of the space is fairly dim. The stones are very utilitarian. This place is not made well in terms of being beautiful. Certainly not to the degree of, gaudy that you saw in Iris Tell. But you get inside. Go ahead.
So before we get too deep into this, I'm gonna find a place to tie the rope off.
Yeah.
And for as long as I can, I'll pull on it, make sure it's okay, good to go, and I'm gonna keep my wings out for as long as I can. They only last for a minute, so just in case, hopefully I can try to. If someone decides they're gonna fall and fuck up, maybe I have time to dive down.
Alrighty.
A minute's not very long.
It is not,
so
but we'll keep that in consideration. You find a stone lectern with a large book that has rotted away on it. Mostly you're just seeing the cover. The pages themselves have kind of weathered to the point of mildew. But the kind of stone lectern, you tie it off around that and kind of wedge it up against the wall a little tighter than it was before and give the go-ahead signal. Who's taking point on the climb across this rope?
Shayanda?
No.
Shayanda. Why not?
Well, give me one good reason. One good reason.
Because we should always let the elderly go first.
One good reason.
Or Shayanda for me.
How far is
Because
Shayanda?
if you fall, you have a safety net. He can catch you.
60-ish feet.
Okay.
I don't want to be caught.
You won't, because he can save you. If you go later, you won't be able to.
Ah, right.
You're starting to reach the point of no return on the wings duration.
Okay.
Fine.
Hiking.
Yeah, that's probably gonna run out.
Yep.
Mitra's gonna suggest maybe, I don't know, doing a little like a, not with the words, but like a bungee cord. So tie something around Shayanda's waist and have something be attached to the rope and maybe something to reduce friction. So at least if he does think he's gonna slip, there's someone there, there's someone on the other end, and he can shimmy across. And I guess apart from that 50 foot of rope that we have, there's only one other length of rope because Mitra's using hers, so we could use that one.
So we only have 50 feet, right?
Roughly, thereabouts. If you took
Okay.
all the rope back from climbing the wall yesterday, which I assume you
I
would.
assume I would.
Yeah,
I'll tie
being a
it
proficient
around.
climber.
I'll tie it around Mitra and around Shayanda. There you go. If you fall, Shayanda will hold your weight. All you have to do, Shayanda. No, not you. Mitra, it's going to sound really silly, but I need you to lay on the rope on your stomach. No. Maybe? I mean, it's better than standing. Can you even hold the weight?
I can at this point, your wings have run out of duration.
Yep. Well, there goes your safety net.
Major just looks at Laura. She's just looking at her.
I'm sorry, was this not what you were going for?
Now, since they're all debating at this point, I'm just gonna go inside. So.
That's a great idea. I think he should go deep. Use sprint, use dash, and see how far he can get.
They're fucking around, figuring out who's gonna cross this fucking thing. We're gonna go look at shit.
That's a good idea. Mitch is gonna like, look, I can cross then. I'm not.
Sure. Maybe
I
not
didn't.
attached to Sayanda, but sure. Unless Sayanda doesn't mind.
Well, if you hold me tight, it's fine.
So you're going first?
This is crazy. It's actually insane. Because she's already carrying something. She doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to do that
How long's it
anymore.
been?
She already did.
How long has what been? Since your spell ran out?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, how long has it been? They've been over there jacking around.
Yeah, a couple of
Make sure
minutes.
you can go first. He's too scared.
Is it Mitra gets to go first?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Alright, so she's going to undo the rope because she's not going to carry Shander across. Not with the MacGuffin on her back. She's going to look at it for a moment, just kind of excel and like just forget what was said back then, and then she's going to give it a go to try and climb her way across.
All right, go ahead and give me an athletics check.
Athletics, you say?
And just because it's been a long time since we've played, I believe you can get your advantage if you rage before you do it. I think. It's been a
I
minute.
think so.
Strength checks.
Don't be angry for doing this.
Hey, anything to not die, right?
Anything to not die.
I mean, to be fair, that
Okay.
Pixie was smacking her in the back of the head the entire journey.
Yeah,
So
imagine if that.
she's probably pretty pissed off right now.
I'd like to think of it more of a very intense focus.
Mhm.
Yeah, there we go.
Also, Tyken, just for your point of reference, when you got in here, the Pixie disappeared. Like the heartbeat you guys entered, you kind of like, gave a happy wink, and then it just disapparated
That's
in
fine.
front of you.
He's like, okay, I'm gonna.
fine.
Well. Okay, fine. She'll use one of her very valuable raise charges, and we're gonna athletics. What was that? That would have been a 12. Let's roll that with advantage. And that is a 24 on the
Beautiful.
athletics.
You swing as the able-bodied barbarian you are, very quickly, hand over hand, swing your way across. You do hear some kind of tenuous creaking from the tree as you're doing this, but very quickly you cross and the creaking goes away. And then we are just left with Lara and Shanda.
Sayanda, your turn.
Fine. Fine, I'm going, but I'm going.
Athletics check, please.
Gimme. Okay. That's 6.
6.
Yep.
You make it about halfway before one of your hands slips and you're holding with just your legs in one hand in this kind of upside down precarious position, your legs wrapped around the rope. Your arms are exhausted.
Yeah, love it.
What are you doing to get yourself out of this situation? Or Lara, if you have something for this moment, now would be the
Are
time.
you okay?
Help me!
Okay. Okay. You want me to come on over?
Yes!
Over? Okay, so I'm going to do a really, really small stress test, like holding on to the rope. And
Why are
like
you stress testing?
putting some extra weight on it just to see if it will snap or whatever.
You hear the tree groan, but you don't think it's, deadly.
Okay. Laura's gonna get on the rope.
Okay. Give me an athletics check.
This is such a horrible idea. Why did you say yes, you need help? 24.
24. You very quickly make it to your friend who is hanging by a hand. How are either of you going to get him out of this precarious situation? Consider this kind of a loose skill challenge.
Am I at his feet right now?
Yeah, basically. You're at his feet. He's hanging upside down from one hand with his feet wrapped around the rope. Seems a little shaken up.
Okay. How good is my rope balancing?
That's all an acrobatics check. We'll find out. If you're trying to basically slackline over top of him,
Yes.
yeah. Give me an acrobatics check then.
Do I get a do-over? I rolled an 8.
An 8. Okay.
And you're dead. Roll new character.
You try rather desperately to get a foot up onto the rope and swing from upside down up onto your feet. You slip and you're now just hanging from your two hands, your feet completely off of the rope. Shayenda, do you have anything in mind to get either of you out of this situation in this moment?
Let me check. Quick.
Vigorously clicking on spellbook. Gimme.
Okay, can you give me some details in terms of like height and
You would assume from this position, which is hard to tell, you're
Yeah.
several hundred feet up currently. If you
That's it?
went down,
yeah.
and you would be landing in the storm if you did fall.
Oh yeah. Okay. So Shanda is like flipping through his non-existent spell
Mental
book.
library.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Okay, Lara, you're fine, right? You're fine.
I think so, yes.
Okay. Then
I guess he'll let go and cast levitate on himself
Okay.
so as to not die.
You could have done this before.
That's about it.
Would you please roll me
Yes.
a wild magic check?
I could have.
Oh my god, please, for the love of
Oh,
goodness,
yeah.
roll something good. Just get a beard or something.
Let me see.
I mean,
This is not the time to
It's a
fireball.
natural 20.
Yep.
Natural 20.
And that's one. You're good.
You know.
No surge.
Or is it a surge?
I thought it was
No,
supposed
no,
to be.
Is it a 1 or a 20?
I don't know. It's up to you, man.
Is it
I'm
supposed
pretty
to
sure
be a
that's a
D100?
No, if you roll a 1, roll the wild magic surge table. We're good. It's all good. No, the surge table, you roll to see if you surge,
gotcha,
and then you
gotcha.
roll the 100 to see the effect.
Gotcha.
So you begin levitating. Are you just levitating yourself over to the window?
Well, I can only levitate vertically.
Ah,
yeah.
But I imagine I can just like keep myself vertical and
yeah, and monkey bars. Okay.
shooting myself over. It's like it's baby monkey bars basically.
Laura, would you please give me an athletics check at disadvantage to try and get back up on the rope to a position where you can climb safely?
Right?
9.
9.
You try to get your feet back up several times, and your feet just keep slipping off the line. You're too quick in flinging them up towards it. You're starting to feel that stress on your core and in your hands. It's getting a little more desperate in this moment.
Am I halfway through?
You're roughly halfway along the rope, yes.
We have
So
any more
I'm
rope? Or is it all
You
being
have...
used?
Well, I mean, you guys technically would still have like 50 feet of rope, I believe.
Yeah, but it's on my person.
Yeah.
Oh, Laura's got it.
So basically, I have 2 hands holding on, correct?
Yep. And you're just kind of dangling in the moment, finding it hard to get any purchase to move, find the strength.
Remember the Kusari Naga. How long is that one?
The Kusarigama is
Okay.
25, 30 feet-ish. It'll be a close shot for you to basically grappling hook with it, but you could certainly try as a last-ditch effort before you fall to your death.
I will do that.
Okay, go ahead and just roll me a weapon
That's
attack.
Last
A
ditch
weapon
effort.
attack?
Yeah, just go ahead and roll me a weapon attack, add your dex and your proficiency.
12.
Well. Okay.
Rope has a high AC. Unlucky.
You take one hand off of the rope, feeling yourself ready to slip in that other hand. You grab the Kusarigama off of your hip, swing it once, trying to get enough momentum. As your other hand falls from the rope, you swing it out wildly, and you just barely catch the ledge here in the tower. You swing down, and give me an acrobatics check to see if you slap the wall or land gracefully. With a 12, you manage to land both feet on. It's kind of a hard landing, but you are now hanging another 30 or so feet below the window from another rope.
And how
But
high
your
up
friends
is
can see the hooked blade built, lodged into the window frame.
Help! Help!
Okay.
Somebody!
Mitra
I hear
will
that.
walk over.
Certain.
Oh, okay.
So Mitra, what are you doing?
I can
He's freaking
take-
inside the building.
Yeah, the dude's gonna have an adventure.
Yeah. There's no way you hear that, bro.
He might do, who knows? Whatever. I mean, yeah, Shanda gets over, and then Laura disappears.
Yeah, you watch Laura just fall, and then you see
Yeah.
a blade shink up onto the window frame in front of you.
Yeah, she's just gonna walk over, peer over the edge, see Laura, and kind of makeshift grappling hook handle. Okay, yeah, she's gonna try and not put too much of a balance forward, but she's gonna lean over the side, hold onto something, and lift her up a bit. And then if she's able to do that, then she's gonna wrap the rope around her arm to pull her up.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me an athletics check to see how fast you can get her up with her grip steadily declining.
Don't cut the rope.
That is a 23.
Yeah. Those moments of barbarian being useful. You wrap the rope around twice and then start giving these huge pulls and wrapping around your arm each time. And it cuts in, it hurts, but it's not enough to actually wound you. And you slowly drag Laura up. It was a close call, Laura.
Oh, thank God. I love climbing, but that kind of climbing really gets the rush going, you know what I mean? Oh, that is actually so exhilarating. I mean, I nearly died, but it's really exhilarating. Oh, where is Ty and Shayenda? Shayenda? Shayenda?
So, in this time, Tyken, did you go... There are 2 sets of stairs, one going up, one going down. They wrap around this tower. Are you going further down or further up as you start to explore, ignoring your friends?
I would have gone probably up, knowing that there's this storm down, so I probably...
Okay. You begin ascending the stairs fairly quickly, hearing your friends kind of debating how they're going to climb across. And you get up to the next floor. In this space is a smattering of seemingly ancient skeletons, mostly humanoid in form, at least built like humans. The room itself has a few plinths, these large stone tablet tables that stand inside of it with a couple of bodies that lie on top. Inside each of the bodies in the rib cage, you see this strange mounting system that's holding a few crossbars that are basically drilled into the ribs on the skeletons, with each of them having a black stone in the center, deep within. There's not really a smell anymore. This place has probably been empty for quite some time, but the dead air that fills this place and the, smattering of skeletons is certainly not a great smell. But each of them seem to have been worked on in some way. They each have this strange arcane harness built into the ribcage that holds a stone right on, the middle of the sternum. The stones look very akin to the ones that you guys would have noticed in the storm. This seemed to be arcing lightning from one another. But this space seems to be maybe a surgeon's room of some kind.
It doesn't appear to be possibly some room. It just appears to be...
I mean, the line is very blurry between the two things in all reality. Yes, you're seeing surgery tools, you're seeing what looks to be people who have been worked on, but it's kind of hard to discern whether this is, willful people or unwilling. It's a bunch of skeletons. There's not cages and blatant torture devices in the room, if that's what you're asking. Like, there's no Iron Maidens in the corner and...
Right. Detect magic on anything.
Yeah, you pop a detect magic and the stones in each of the skeletons light up. That same evocation.
Does it give more of a... Oh, this was more of an infirmary or like triage station, or was it more like... like a morgue / laboratory.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
I mean, to be fair,
I
probably just walked right up after he got in. Yeah, it wasn't. This is the space of like 3 minutes, not 12. Otherwise, Laura would be very dead from losing grip.
Who cares?
But
Wow, I'm pushing you.
Yeah, looking around the space, it is certainly more of a morgue than anything. You notice now that some of the walls here have doors built in, and as you go to open one or to look through it, each of them has like a sliding rack made of thin metal, where more of these skeletons lie, the same chest-mounted stones in each of them. At this point, everyone has kind of gotten inside and probably immediately tried to find out where Tyken has gone. Which isn't entirely that hard with you kind of clacking around upstairs, opening drawers and looking through some of the bodies. Wearing heavy armor, you're not exactly, or medium armor. You're not a stealthy presence.
Not trying to be.
Yeah.
What are you trying to be loud?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Loud. No, you should try to be loud, not stealthy. That's okay.
On the rocks, are there any kind of runes or anything on them?
None that you can see at this time. Just small black, like onyx gems. And they're implanted in these kind of golden brass rigs that ride each of the ribs. There's like 3 prongs on each side and a stone in the middle.
Or to the one that Mitra's carrying on her back, but much smaller?
I mean, similar in that they're both black gemstones. Not similar in that they're, one is covered in runes that you've seen flare several times. But yeah.
I don't necessarily find anything important.
Looking around, you can tell that like there are a few places where scrolls, like little scroll holders, were, but most of them have kind of weathered away with time. Anything that would be in there is basically illegible. The space itself, being stone, it's affected by the elements, and these windows that lie along this whole tower have let every bit of wind and rain in over time. There's moss and mildew that cover parts, and it's eaten through pretty much anything paper related. You do find one stone tablet inscribed with some extremely faintly glowing runes, and written in... What did you say you speak, Tyken? I'm sorry.
Celestial and Elvish, either.
It'd be in an old form of Elvish, one that you probably would know. You see some like loose study notes, but they're they have no context. They talk about how the fairing cage basically protects from the storm's effects, but only for a time, that it fails. That implantation is horribly painful and disfiguring for most. Things like that. But it doesn't really tell you why they were doing this. It's just, it seems like someone's notes as to what's happening, and they're like actively trying to figure out a way to get out. Yeah, that's about all you can discern.
I'll just collect for those stones.
Okay.
My backpack.
Gotcha.
Clearly they were important for some reason.
Yeah. And it'd be about this time that if any of you were looking for Tyken, you would be able to find him. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
I'm just gonna look around and come to my own conclusions.
Nothing short of genius.
You guys do hear that same popping, crackling noises below you, lower in the tower. But they're just kind of intermittent. They happen occasionally, and then they pass. But you don't really know if there's a source. It's not like anything's loudly banging around. It's just the occasional foam of flame or, crack of lightning.
Okay, well, assuming the gang has met up with Tyken, and everyone's had a good look at what one might presume to be a morgue. Well, why not continue upwards?
Were you at the top, or were we just at like another level?
There's another level above you.
Okay.
You guys probably have several floors above and below you. I mean, like I said, this thing stands tall over the environment on both layers, so it's a big space.
I wasn't sure where the came in at the tower, if it was in the middle or more top.
Yeah, you guys basically would have come in almost perfectly in the middle of the tower because of how it breaches this layer. As you guys start to head up higher rather than going down, you arrive at a basically wrought iron black fence with a door that's attached here, locking you off from, you can see inside obviously, but it's locking you off from what looks like a very nice sitting area, old couches that have been weathered down, furniture that's very nice. You would even see like glass, like intricately made glassware that sits on some of the tables around.
I am sitting on that. Should, cool stuff.
But a door does block your path going up any higher.
Like magic lasts for 10 minutes, so anything in that time frame.
What's the range on detect magic? 30 feet? 60 feet?
30 feet.
30 feet.
Yeah.
Let me actually just pull that spell up so that I don't spoil anything.
The spell can penetrate most barriers, but it is blocked by 1 foot of stone, an inch of common metal, thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of...
Also, 1 millimeter of DM goodwill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll never forget taking message and never being able to use it because we were underground. Rest in peace, Cyrus's message ability. Yeah, I mean, you would feel a thin magical presence somewhere on the upper floor, roughly 30 feet above you, on the next floor up, but again, blocked by the gate. Other than that, you don't feel anything in this space.
That's like a stone gate, metal gate.
Yeah, it's just like a wrought iron metal gate with it looks like a key lock built into it.
Anybody know how to unlock this?
No.
I mean, does it have anywhere to put these two in this area?
Yeah, it's a key lock.
Well, I have a tiny hammer, so if you just give me a few seconds with the, lock,
Sure,
probably
go
do
ahead.
something.
I Laura needs to see this.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna try and attempt to bust. In my long in Cheyenne, there's very long expertise in getting himself into places.
Yeah.
Well, he knows that it's usually better to break a lock. Well, it's faster to break a lock than
I guess
he's gonna
as
try and
Cheyenne
break
pulls out this tiny hammer, or hammer, bam!
Okay. Go ahead and roll me an attack, Tyken.
12.
12. You strike out, hit the lock, and it doesn't seem to budge too much. But you do take 4 points of lightning damage as lightning arcs from the head of your mace into your chest. The runes...
You said 4 points?
4 points. Just a small spark that carries up and in.
When that happens,
Ow.
I would like to. Are the sparks visible?
Yeah, you see Tyken hit this thing, and then blue and red lightning crawl up the hammer and kind of hit him in the arm.
Okay, I'd like to grab a dagger and drop it on the lock to see if it'll, like, just by it touching it, if it will
Nothing happens.
spark. Okay, then I'd like to just quickly tap my finger on it and, like, pull away.
Nothing happens.
I mean,
Okay.
It's not an electric fence, I'll tell you that. If that was the...
I will try and lockpick it.
Okay, go ahead and give me that roll.
21.
21. It takes you a few seconds. This isn't one of your most commonly used skills, but you find the flow again, getting the pick in the right position. You feel a few close calls. You can actually feel the metal as you're working with it. The parts of your hands that touch the lock tend to heat up as you go to hit like a wrong area. But you very carefully take a few moments and pop it open. The door swings open immediately after you unlock it, and you guys are able to go upstairs. Going up, you arrive at what looks like some sort of like a sitting area for a bunch of people, like a meeting area, a large table with many chairs. And in each of the chairs sits another one of these skeletons. These ones are much less perfectly decayed. These are much more modern bodies in varying stages of decomposition. But they all sit in their chairs as if they were actively in a meeting, and they're all dead. The same stone you can see is inside of each of their chests, the now long dead flesh still smoldering as these black stones in each of them are just kind of occasionally pulsing lightning into their dead bodies. Yeah. Welcome to the war room.
And I think the bodies are like long dead or long.
Even at a glance, some of these bodies probably died within the last month. Others seem to be around that time, but more decomposed or maybe more burnt. It seems like some of them actually got burnt from the inside out with this lightning, where others just seem to die. But now they all kind of have these smoldering holes in their chest where you can see the stone lies. But they're mostly in the same decomposition range, somewhere in there.
How they died?
You would assume the smoldering holes in their chest.
So if it's from the stone, right?
You would assume,
Gotcha.
yes.
Okay.
They don't have any other wounds openly on their persons. No one's faces are bashed in. There's no cuts on the bodies. It's just that they are legitimately burning from the inside as these little stones send sparks into their bodies from within.
So potentially, based on the tablet I found and read, stones, they were using the stones to try to get.
It's a bold assumption, but you could be correct.
I mean,
Can I make
From
it-
what you've discerned so far, yes, that is the logical conclusion. I'll give you that. Though, do understand, you guys are existing in a world, and I cannot always explain everything.
I know. Trying to put dots together. Yeah, what happened? How did
Playing
they die?
connect the dot with 2 dots.
Yeah. So the stones don't take for a long period of time. They're not permanent. And they potentially kill them.
Potentially.
I relay that information, I think.
Do you provide the tablets as proof to your friends?
Yeah, I assume I would have. Sorry, I probably would have like showed them the tablet downstairs when I found it.
Okay. Everyone seems fairly caught up then.
Yeah.
I feel so fed up.
So fed up?
So caught up.
Oh. Mitra, it's at about this point that you feel a familiar flick on the back of your head.
It was around now that she was getting used to like not having that, and so it's just kind of like, she turns around to try and see what that was, or was she imagining it?
You didn't see anything. Turning around.
Didn't see anything. As he felt something. She holds her tongue and just carries on. Right. Well. Seem to have found interesting things. Is that right? Yes, we have. All right. Do we continue, or are we staying here a time?
I mean, I still want to look around, just kind of look at the tables they were sitting at, and kind of see what's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the same issues. Most of the paperwork seems to have kind of turned into a mush on the table. Growing some mold on top, this kind of heavy green layer. And again, you notice in the corners of the room there are leaves and things like that, where it's very obvious that the open windows are not helping keep things clean. But it also kind of tells you that more than likely, no one's come in or out in a while because they haven't cleaned up the smoldering corpses.
Right. Just trying to. Well, you said they'd only been here about a month, so.
Yeah, you would assume somewhere about a month.
At that time.
You wouldn't think so.
If there's anything that the people would have had, try to figure out what they were trying to do.
Yeah, you start to look over things. Give me an investigation check, Tyken.
Thank you. 12.
Okay. Most of these papers have been ruined by rain and things like that, but you do find a few things. You start to discern that this group had a fairly high and mighty view on themselves. That everything is written in very flaunting, beautiful script. But the note itself says that they were trapped here, that they're trying to find a way out of the storm. They can't go anywhere else. And that they're trying to discern a way to stop this. That, this was an act of an enemy of theirs. And that they're trapped within the tower. They spent some time, you do find one paper that's still in fairly okay condition. They spent some time working with a doctor, and that this man claimed he could fix the problem, implanting these stones to make each of them able to pass through the storm without being harmed. And he proved it by doing it to himself first. But when anyone tried to pass through the storm themselves, they were fried. So once he implanted these stones in everyone, they truly couldn't leave at that point. Even if they had beaten the storm, the second that they leave, they just cook. And they couldn't figure out why someone, a seemingly outsider, would come in and make their situation even worse. But yeah. There's no names on the documents. Everything is very vague, almost as if they were trying to keep secrets from their own people. They were unsure if anyone was a traitor within, and so everything is super vague and annoying to discern details from. You have many floors above you and below you. But in this moment, you do hear, all four of you, hear a significantly louder bang from deep within the tower, much further below, several, dozens of stories below you. An explosion rocks this place, and rubble starts to sink from the roof up. The tower itself cants even heavier to one direction. You actually feel one side slam into that outer hole as the entire tower kicks over onto one side. You hear something inhuman shriek this massive sound, and another explosion, and another one. And that's where we'll end our session for tonight.
Well, that's fucked.
Back over the rope we go.